Okay, so we are going to start talking about Chapter P, Section 7, and we're looking at equations in this section. So first let's solve some linear equations. Looking at our first example, we have something like this where we have x plus 2 over 4 minus x minus 1 over 3 equals 2. Now the easiest way to solve this is to look at what our common denominator might be here and multiply by that on both sides. In this case, our common denominator would be 12. And so the right side becomes 24, and the left side, the 4 and the 12 reduce and become 3. And this fraction becomes the 3 and the 12 reduce and become 4. And now what we can do is distribute those. And we have 3x plus 6 minus 4x plus 4 equals 24. Combining these here, we have negative x, and 6 plus 4 is 10. So subtracting 10 from both sides, this is equal to 14. If negative x is equal to 14, then x is equal to negative 14. And that's our answer. Now we also need to make sure that we check our answers. So negative 14 plus 2 is negative 12, divided by 4 is negative 3, so negative 3. And then negative 14 minus 1 is negative 15. Negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. But minus a negative becomes positive, so plus 5 is equal to 2, and that works. So we checked our answer. Now, if we have a rational equation, now we have our variable in the denominator. So we need to be a little bit careful here. We need to look at what our excluded values are. And in this case, we know that x cannot equal negative 1, x cannot equal positive or negative 1, and x cannot equal positive 1. So we know that going into this. So our excluded values are going to be x equals plus or minus 1. Now what we want to do is create a common denominator or we can multiply, we can go through the same process we were just doing. We're multiplying both sides by the common denominator. So in this case, our common denominator, we need an x plus 1, we need an x minus 1, and this right here is x plus 1 times x minus 1, so they're both already in there. So multiplying this side by x plus 1, x minus 1, and multiplying this side by the same thing. And we can cancel this out. And we can have x minus 1 left. Okay. And then on this side, both of these will cancel, and we're left with 2 minus this cancels here, and we're left with 1 times x plus 1. All right, so now we need to distribute here. We can remove the parentheses here and combine like terms. We can add x to this side and have 2x, add 1, and 2x is equal to 2. So then x is equal to 1. Now, we already know that x equals 1 is an excluded value, so we know that that's going to be a problem for us. So we know that this is not going to work. That's an excluded value. So that tells us that there are no solutions. All right. And that's going to be the end of part 1 of chapter 7, or section 7.